So this is really to introduce the concept of working through the planets when you're bringing something into manifestation, or doing spell work of any kind, because really, no matter what spell work it is a form of manifestation. So I want to bring this idea, and it's not a new one, it's been around for centuries and centuries, of working through the planets. I should say, firstly, that the usual advice to anyone who's starting out in magical practice is to work with the elements. So you go through a routine, a rituals of sort of initiation into each element before moving on to planetary magic, which is, in some quarters, it's sort of termed, it's deemed a bit more advanced. However, that's not the way I did it. Typically me, really. But it needs mentioning, obviously. If I'm being responsible, I should mention that. So we're looking at planetary magic, and in the ancient order of planets, also known as the Chaldean order of planets, the order is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. Now I'm just going to quickly see if I can put that on there. So can you see that? I don't want to. I'm hiding this because this is written a long time ago and things have moved on in my thinking since that. But those are, I hope you can see that. That is the traditional or ancient order of planets, the Chaldean order. And you can see here that we have their corresponding archangels. So that's just going down to there. I am covering that because that's not something I would want to share, really. So yeah, just so that you've got that, I hope that's coming through. And yeah, we'll move on from there. So their corresponding angels, in the order that I mentioned above and that I've just shown, are Cassiel, Sachiel, Camael, Michael, Anael or Haniel, Raphael, and Gabriel. So each of the planets represents a force or an aspect of life, the universe and everything, so that everything we experience on the earthly realm is a manifestation of their forces, mixed in various proportions depending on the situation or the person or the event or whatever it is you are looking at. So in other words, each planet governs an element of the unified whole necessary for manifestation. So for manifesting, and as I say, any kind of spell work is a manifestation work. Even if you're banishing, you're manifesting a change to a situation that you don't want. So you're getting rid of something, you're changing that situation. So that in itself is a manifestation. So for manifesting, the theory is to work through these planets in succession to bring the intent into being or into form on Earth. Now, another important thing to mention here is that there are pretty dire warnings about working with Saturn, and that is the first planet in the order, because it is such a severe energy. It's called the Great Malefic, and you know, for someone who's not experienced, who's not well versed, has not got a lot of experience in this working, and I'm not saying that I have myself. I'm a learner, really, but it is advisable not to work with Saturn because of unleashing the very powerful, intense and chaotic energies. Not chaotic, the severe energies that you could do. Now, having said that, before I particularly knew about this and, the not working with Saturn, I actually did a Saturnian working of my own devising, which luckily for me went quite well, and it was pretty interesting. I might share it one day. But certainly now I would be much more cautious about it. I think I got away with it that time. I think possibly Saturn took pity on me. But anyway, all was well. But that's a warning. So instead of beginning with Saturn, which is obviously Saturday, relates to Saturn, we move directly on to Jupiter. And so we would begin our work through the planets with Jupiter on a Thursday in the correct hour of Jupiter. Now, luckily for us, the hours, the planetary hours, are very easy to look up online, thankfully. I use luminarium.co.uk. It's been great. But there are apps, there are many different ways of doing it, even if you don't have a particular tome of magicians' tables or whatever. So we look at the correct hour. We start on the Thursday for Jupiter, and you give offerings. You do a devotional, and present your petition for whatever it is that you are working on at that time. So obviously you need to put some thought and preparation into doing this. It's not something you can just, I think I'll do that today. You need to do some proper planning beforehand. And always remembering to use the right correspondences, so use the correct colours, use the correct incense, use the correct mood music, anything else that you're bringing to the table, dress appropriately, and all of these things. When you come, it shows respect, it shows dedication and commitment, and it shows that you're serious about what you're doing as well. But mostly it brings in it resonates with the vibrations of the planet that you are working with, and so things can go more smoothly, and the planetary spirits, in theory, are able to come in more easily and more comfortably. So the theory underpinning this, as I understand it, is the Hermetic cosmology. So it's from Hermeticism, where everything in creation, including ourselves, comes into being in form on Earth through this system. And to me, this just makes an awful lot of sense. And I really vibe with it. But It's not for everybody. It may not appeal to everyone, of course, and that's as it should be. Now, there's nowhere near enough information in this very short video about how to do this. And unless you're really well versed in planetary magic, it probably won't make a lot of sense. And if you are very well versed, you won't be watching this. But if you do, if it appeals to you, if it's something that sort of grabs you and you want to learn more about it, I thoroughly recommend 7 Spheres. I'll put it in the description thingy below. 7 Spheres by Rufus Opus. I have read this. I've read it a couple of times and just recently. Unfortunately, I don't have the book to hand to show, which is a shame. But he outlines the theory, all the planetary attributes, the precise methodology in a really charming and humorous way. And what he is describing is a simplified ritual. I think his actual words are streamlined ritual based on the work of Trithemius, drawing spirits into crystals. And obviously that's a pretty ancient work. So this isn't new, but his approach is new and is very, very approachable. Especially for someone, you know, for a beginner, I think it's very approachable. And of course, I'm a great fan of anyone who can simplify anything. I think that's great. I might do a review of the book possibly at some point. It's not a huge tome, and I think it's available on Kindle. I think it's also available as a PDF. But if you're attracted to this kind of work and you want to deep dive it, because obviously my videos are necessarily short, but if you want to deep dive it, it's a great read. It really is. Everything you need to know to do the work is in there, basically. So I hope that piqued some interest or it was useful in some way to someone out there, and I'd be really interested in hearing from you if you've read the book, what your thoughts are, if you work with planetary magic yourself, and you know, let's have your thoughts and ideas on that. Lovely to hear anybody's comments on that. So with that, blessed be.